Well, good morning and welcome along for more PDC action on the end of this bumper week of darts. We've just had 4 Super Series events with 4 different winners, but now attention turns to the resumption of the Women's Series. Those of you who tuned in last month would have seen Fallon Sherrock and Lisa Ashton dominating Milton Keynes, that pair sharing the 6 titles with 3 each between them. They're both in action once again today. In fact, Lisa Ashton will be up next on this streamed board when she takes on Donna Gleed. But starting off, it's a meeting between the Welshwoman Jan Robbins and the Japanese, usually soft tip star, but what a start in steel tip darts here. Straight in the treble 20 for Yukie Sakaguchi. 83. Now, in Milton Keynes, I had the pleasure of commentating alongside Colin Lloyd. Here in Barnsley, I've been lumbered with Dan Dawson instead.
Yeah, that's what we call a downgrade. However,
64.
The action on the board should be of interest. Plenty to fight for over the course of this weekend. We'll be explaining how it all works over the next 2 days. Well, I think we'll explain it a little bit before the 2 days is up, just so you're aware of how it's working. We're not going to deal it out piecemeal like Johnny's segment, but
28.
I'm very interested to see some of the players you've got in action here. You're going to have a real mix. Jan Robbins, 2-time Lakeside semi-finalist, but you're going back to the mid-noughties when she was
57.
You know, a big name and a real force in darts. Won loads of titles in the women's game, but we haven't really seen her playing in big-time darts and the big tournaments on the WDF or BDO system for a long while. I'm assuming that was for 58. The treble 19, but you're not quite sure. I mean, soft tip players, they do love a strange route.
Sakaguchi from the Rod Harrington, Paul Nicholson school of darts attire has won a tie for the occasion, Dan. So you haven't.
I think on the full Rod Harrington, and she's got the tie clip as well, which I don't think Nicholson ever went that far. It is handy, though, if you've got to play a game of darts now, but you've also got a job interview later in the afternoon, so
81
to multitask.
Yeah, well, you might have. It's interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen Sakaguchi play, bar a couple of
60.
YouTube videos from soft tip. It's interesting, a pre-match routine, a pre-shot routine rather. She stands behind, she kind of kisses the dart, starts doing the old sort of Kevin Payne to blow on the fingers, all that sort of stuff in the background. I mean, she's just gone off for a walk in this particular moment, so just ruined my description there. But yeah, different players have
43.
different routines.
Well, you tend to see quite a lot of pre-throw routines in a lot of the players from China, Japan, and I think a lot of it is because they're used to playing 45. Team darts and things like, you know, they'll play like games of cricket with 4 different players, or you know, 1001 with 4 different players. They'll have a long period between them getting to the oche and throwing. And so, look, there's loads of ghost darts out. You see Paul Lim doing that all the time. You see
60. Loads
of the players from over in Asia doing that. They're just sort of keeping themselves warm, keeping themselves limber. And I think a lot of it is because they play formats where they spend a bit more time, just not at the oche. Pretty straight, though, isn't she? I mean, I know she had that wild one into double 19, but it was straight. It was just the weight of dart was wrong. And Yukie leaves herself 32. And she's going to get darts at it.
Her first dart in this match was a treble 20. Her last visit was 140. So for the first leg, double 16. And it's straight in. And Sakaguchi, on debut at the Women's Series, takes the lead against an accomplished winner in women's darts, Jan Robbins, who's picked up a handful of BDO and WDF ranking titles over the years, although it has to be said the majority of those were in the noughties.
68.
Well, go on. Where's she won titles? Has she won the big one?
Hasn't won the big one, no. She hasn't won the Lakeside title.
No, what about Torremolinos?
She has won that, actually, yes.
Ding, 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 ding. We've got a Torremolinos champion in the house.
Yeah, not a former world champion, although we've got plenty of those in the field today. Jan Robbins has reached the semi-finals at the Lakeside on a couple of occasions. She's won in England, France, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales,
100.
and of course the famous event that Dan just mentioned enthusiastically. All of those wins, in fact the vast majority of them in 2003 and 2004. She also has won team event titles in 07, 08 and even some at the back end of the 90s.
Well, if you've been watching
26.
the Super Series that's been taking place here at the Metrodome over the course of the week, you'll be familiar with the Dart Connect system, where you can keep up to date of all the matches going on simultaneously as Yukie starts going through an entire exercise
45.
regime at the back of the booth there, adding new moves to the pre-throw routine. But yeah, tv.dartconnect.com, it will keep you updated with all the matches going on around the boards. We've got 65 players
100.
here today, so it's pretty much 6 rounds. There is one prelim game, but 6 rounds. So you're going to win the title in this, which is the 7th Women's Series event. We've got the 8th and the 9th today, with
95.
10, 11 and 12 on the way tomorrow. You're going to have to win 6 games, more than likely.
And we will bring you selected matches on this stream from every round, 2 from the first round and then 1 from the last 32 onwards. The format's best of 7 legs, best of 9 in the semis and the final.
Yukie leaving herself a finish after 5 visits to the board. Jan Robbins just not able to find the trebles to worry her opponent at the minute.
41.
And again, not able to adjust. Points at her own darts. Get up.
Soft tip darts and snooker, big sports in Japan. And this is Sakaguchi looking for the 147. She was looking for bullseye and then tops.
79.
We did see at the last Women's Series, you'll see that if you do look at the Dart Connect system, the first 2 ton-topping averages in the fairly short Women's Series history. We had some events last year, we've had 6 this year. Lisa Ashton providing both of them in the same event, the 5th event.
Yeah, and against 2 of the high-profile opponents as well, Anastasia Dobromoslova and Dita Hedman. Dita, of course, who managed to come through the Women's Series and reach the World Championship. Double top then for Yukie.
48.
Can't quite get there, but she's going to get more chances.
It's probably difficult to be thrown onto the live stream in your first match at the Women's Series. Just makes any nerves a little bit more obvious, but no nerves on the doubles really from Sakaguchi here. She's 2 out of 3 on the outer ring.
Well, no signs of any sort of lethargy or jet lag. We certainly saw that from Mikuru Suzuki in the first weekend. An impressive amount of jet lag.
Well, absolutely, and I think, you know, many people are looking at Lisa Ashton to join Fallon Sherrick and taking that 2nd Grand Slam spot. But you look at Mikuru Suzuki, if she could get her preparations right this time, then she certainly can be a match for that successful pair, can't she? We've seen that with the World Championships that she's won.
Yeah, Yukie denied what could have been the first 180 we've seen on the stream today.
41.
That one bouncing out of what looked like the treble 20. But she's the better player in this contest at the minute.
We do have the first player through to the last 32, and it's Lorraine Winstanley, a 4-0 whitewash win for her against Margaret Sutton in her opener. You do tend to see at the Women's Series some quite one-sided matches early on.
You know, Lorraine Winstanley has just won her place back in the England team in the WDF system. And an 83.5 average there for Lorraine. Good start to the day. She's a world finalist herself, of course.
Yeah, and a jolly good start for Chris Savary in her first match, a 4-0 win over Vicky Jolly. I get the feeling, just from watching the early stages of this match, that there's definitely more to come
41.
from Sakaguchi over 6 events here. There's bound to be nerves playing in this tournament for the first time, playing PDC darts for the first time, playing steel tip rarely for her, and then being thrown on the stream, and she's giving a decent account of herself.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know how much steel tip darts Yukie has played. Obviously soft tip is king over in Japan.
We've got access to some quite comprehensive databases of steel tip tournaments, and we can't find a name anywhere on them.
57.
And it is a different game. There are elements of it that are different. But you can see, and you'll see this with a lot of soft tip players, the way their darts go in the board, very flat. So they're using
100.
the same sort of stacking techniques as they would do on a soft tip board. And she's doing it pretty well here. Again, Yukie leaves herself on a finish. Little 2-darter, and the doubles have been good. She's been
82.
double 16 first time of asking. She's been double 10.
Now looking at tops for a 3-leg lead, and in it goes again, and the finishing has been absolutely fabulous so far in this match.
Well, it's a mid-70s average at the minute for Yukie. That's going to be competitive over the course of this weekend if this is the level she's going to play at. That's not to say she couldn't reach higher levels than this. You know, famously, Mikuru Suzuki turned up for her first Lakeside World Championship, and she was ridiculously priced at more than 100 to 1. Now, apparently the trader said, oh, it was a mistake, I pressed the wrong button, it should have been 15 to 1. She shouldn't have been nowhere near that. She'd been unbeaten for 2 years on the soft tip circuit out in the Far East.
100.
It would be a mistake to underestimate some of the talents that we have in this sport from over in places like Japan and China.
Certainly has grown into this game.
81.
3 out of 4 in the doubles, a 140, followed by 81 to start what she hopes is the final leg here. Jo Locke, who has caused
36.
many a player a problem at the Women's Series, one of the few to beat Lisa Ashton last time out. She's beaten Julie Thompson 4-1 in her opener. Young Katie Sheldon of Ireland, a 4-0 winner against Samantha Lewis. Australia's Corinne Hammond also through to round 2, a 4-1 win for her against Christine Reedhead. And Lorraine Hyde, who may be seeking to beat Fallon Sherrick in the next round. She's beaten Lisa Dunford 4-0.
Yeah, certainly a few players there that, whether they go on and claim, say, a Grand Slam spot or one of these Women's Series titles, they can certainly have big says in who does go on and claim it. Corinne Hammond is a hell of a player.
There's also the extra incentive that the PDC have given 8 players free entry to Q School next year as well. The top 8 at the end of the final order of merit will receive a free entry to play at qualifying school in 2022. just had confirmation, by the way, that that match between Lorraine Hyde and either Fallon Sherrock or Joe Dean will be streamed live here on PDC TV after the last first round tie between Ashton and Donna Gleed.
Well, there you go. We get to see a brand new talent from Japan in Yukie Sakaguchi, who's been a good watch in this opening game. You get to see Lisa Ashton and then Fallon Sherrock potentially back to back to start off the Women's Series weekend here at Barnsley Metrodome. Again, a little bit unfortunate there for Yukie. A soft tip, she might have registered 79. Some points for that.
Yeah. Seems to use those sort of really hard plastic type flights and seems to bounce off those there. Can she sign off with a 100 finish? Treble 19 was the target.
44.
What she's done